All right, hey everybody. We're gonna go ahead and get started. You also, in addition to the chat, if you there's also reactions. So if you need to like thumbs up as like a hand raise, like can ask a question, or the clap if you just are just real excited. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Um, oh, you disabled screen sharing, Alyssa.
How do I fix that?
Um,
I didn't know I did that.
I didn't know that was
Maybe if
an.
I let me click
Oh,
on your
yep.
thing.
Make
You,
Chrissy the host.
yeah,
Make her the
she's right.
host so she can share.
Okay. So, hopefully, we can have fun learning all the things. I know some people are like super techie, some are like tech scared, tech virgins, whatever you want to call yourselves. I like to have fun. I don't want, hopefully, this is not very laborsome and scary. But we'll have a good time. I am not at all some like ultimate guru authority on all the tech things. I'm just like low key, mildly tech nerdy. Um, and so I'm not things that I present to you today are like the end all be alls, nor am I like the highest expert level on all of these things. But I have found in working or just doing a little bit of research that they are helpful. So I actually presented. Oh, let me try to share my screen again. I presented this at the LMEA State Conference last fall, and I was really excited. That was my first time presenting, so it was quite the affair. But can everybody see my screen now? You can just kind of nod. Yeah, okay. Fabulous. All right, so introduce myself. My name is Chrissy Miller. I am actually currently a talented music teacher. Actually, before, sorry, let me pause. Since you guys, you're seeing this, but also if you want to download this presentation, if you have any issues with screen sharing, you can use the link at the bottom of this first page. If you can't see it, it's bit.ly slash choir tech prez. And so there's a QR code. So if we were in a room physically together, I would have, when you came into the room, I would have had you pull out your phone, your smartphone, and turn on the camera app and take a picture of that QR code, and it would have given you a link to this presentation. So, but since we're already here in the virtual flesh, you don't need to. And I'm going to cover QR codes later on in the presentation. But I currently am a talented music teacher going into my second year of doing so. I'm based at Lake Harbor in Covington, although I'm a Slidell girl. But I serve schools in the Covington, Madisonville, Mandeville area. And this year I'll actually be serving at some Slidell schools. So last year was my first year in the parish at all. Before that, I spent 4 years teaching at a private school in Covington, Christ Episcopal, where I was primarily choir and general music, as well as like the music director for service things. So besides that, I've also done community choirs and church choirs as director and as performer. But since I am actually fairly new to being a teacher, because before that I actually was in arts admin and performing. I used to be a talent manager as well as a programming director at the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra, representing different talent and booking and all those things. And I'm also a talent movement director or logistics director for the big Essence Festival that happens every summer, except this summer, in New Orleans. For the past 7 years, I've held that position. So all of those things have given me the need to always be super involved in how can I make things easier. Um, So, tech is your friend. Don't be scared. We're going to have a good time. Like I said, whether this is going to be super easy for you and you've done all of these things, or this scares you, hopefully you'll find something helpful today. So, we can make tech work for us. So whether it's our needs of organization or assessment or management or notation, recording, communication, we want to find some tools that can help us in all of those areas. So first we want to jump right into organization and management. And you've got three different areas that we want to kind of pull apart here. The first one is the Google Suite. The next one is QR codes, and then short links. So you guys are probably pretty well versed. And by the way, if you have questions along the way, I should have said that before. Like I said, jump in the chat. My chat is not open while I'm screen sharing, so somebody might have to let me know if there's things in the chat. Oh, wait, no, I can pull them up. Let's see. Oh, okay, nothing new. All right, so most of you probably have taken the Google training, Google Classroom training that the school has offered, kind of like a head nod if you did. So a lot of this probably won't be quite as like awe-inspiring as it was when I did this presentation the first time, but maybe some ideas to use and make it effective as music teachers might pop up. So, oops. Okay, so managing information. Let me get this back to full size. So things that I use the Google Drive for, so especially Google Forms and Google Sheets, is doing registrations, creating registration forms, doing rosters for attendance, storing contact information, making sign-in sheets, music catalogs, quizzes, surveys, exit tickets. So lots of things, and I'm gonna try as best as I can is to put this in our current virtual classroom scape that no one really knows anything about, but we're just kind of making things up as we go. But so if by some chance you have not done that Google training, which I kind of didn't, but I know most of the things. A lot of the links in this presentation or words are clickable. So this Google Drive overview, the forms tutorial, the sheets tutorial, those are actually live links. So if you click on those, it'll take you to a YouTube tutorial, a quick YouTube overview for some of those. Also, by the way, I forgot to mention when I was giving my background, I am currently going through a course, actually just this week. You can become a Google certified educator. So you can actually go through a course. It's about 10 hours worth of information, self-guided, and you can be certified. And you take an exam and certified in all of the Google things. So I'm working on that just as a kind of a side project for myself. So in Google Forms, I love it. Google Forms has made life so much easier for choir, for classes. I remember before I left CES and I was a choir director, I totally got rid of any paper forms for parents to fill out, for students to fill out. No registration forms were going home hard copy. I literally created those in Google Forms. Also, concert reflections. Instead of having them write it down, make a Google form out of it. And this is a screenshot of my forms in my Google Drive. So I took surveys, like if I wanted to kind of survey the parents, I sent out a Google form link. Also, when we did fundraisers, we sold Krispy Kreme donuts. I made that a form. All I needed to do was share the link to that form. Let's see. Also, You can also do another thing that I used the Google Forms for was for our talent show sign up. Obviously, probably no one's having talent shows this year because of assembling and things like that, but it was a really easy way to get everybody's information. Another thing with forms would be assessing. So if you needed to have your kids send in either a file, like say if they needed to record exercises that you needed to listen to, you could have them record it and then upload it in a form. Is it from the Google training? Did they talk about how to make it a place where you can upload files? Anyone shake their head? No? Okay. Here, I'm going to actually show you that really quickly because it was super helpful. So, that aspect of Google Forms was incredibly helpful for me while we were at the end of last semester, just because here, I'm sure some of you guys saw on the parish website that, here, let me switch to, I have like 15 different Google accounts. But the virtual videos that the school board posted with like the Hamilton song and the Here Comes the Sun, those were my students. And so to get all of those videos from my kids, I actually did that through Google Forms. So what you can do, and I won't go make a super long form, but I'll just show you straight. So if you needed a student to send you a video or a picture or an audio file, an MP3, MP4, what you could do is switch to the type of question to file upload. I'm gonna hit continue. Then you could name it whatever you wanted. Let's say virtual video. Okay. Then if they needed to upload multiple, they could upload up to 10. And then what you want to do is set it to the highest amount, which is 10 gigabytes, because that controls how many total gigabytes that file can be. So also you'll notice here, let me get out of this. It said this form no longer accepting responses because a single response can exceed the 1 gigabyte total size. So all you need to do is change that. You can change it to 100 gigabytes, 1 terabyte, that's new. But it honestly doesn't matter. I think our school Google accounts actually have an unlimited storage from what I understand. So that is a huge plus for us if you're going to be uploading things like this. So now there's no warning on it. I can't imagine, unless it's multiple files, that anyone would send you something that's 10 gigabytes, but why not? Let's live on the wild side. So all you would do is make that and then send this form out like you would any other form, and the kids, they can upload it even on their phones. So you would send them the link, they would have recorded made their recording, then they would come to this Google form and upload it. So let's actually look at it as if a kid would see it. Obviously you could have had a lot more information on the form. Just hit add file, and then this would allow them to add that file, and then they'll send it to you, and then it will actually populate in, let's see, am I in the right place? Oh yeah, it's already created a folder actually. So this untitled form, because I didn't make a title for it, it already created a folder in my Google Drive where it's gonna keep all of the files that the kids send. So that's a super easy way. If they need to send you recordings, they can send you recordings. So, oops.
Question.
Yep.
Can I download, say, the music or what I want them to sing to
You certainly could.
on Google?
Yeah, so what you could do is, one, you could put it in your Google Drive. You could do one of two things. You could just send out a link to it, or you could also put it in your Google Classroom. I'm still getting used to Google Classroom because I hadn't started using it that much yet because I've been lazy and I hadn't set it up. But but in Google Classroom, it allows you to attach files, and so you technically could just attach it in your Google Classroom, kind of like you would have like put something in Moodle, basically,
Yeah.
and you could get it to them that way.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions while we're paused? I hope that was clear to make the form. I know that was kind of quick. Okay. So here's some examples of Google Sheets. So the great thing about forms is that it will populate into, let's see, is this the chat thing for me? I didn't know you could collect it. Yes. Yes, Caleb. Can you share this via Google Slides so I can download and print? I can't download it. Yes. Jana, do you need that right now? I can definitely send it right after.
No, when you're done, whenever you're done is fine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so the responses to forms will populate. I'm going to go back in the draft of the form. So whenever someone sends in something, the responses will be here. Let me actually go to something that's complete. Let's see. All right. Okay, so this is actually my form that I did do for the virtual video uploads. So you'll see, and you can see the questions. I put song title, and some of these were like drop down selections and things like that. So all of these responses populated here. You can see, and this is, so once they uploaded all of those files, that's what it looked like. But you can hit create a spreadsheet, and that is how you will populate. So if this was just a information form, not like media uploading, it's super helpful to then go to select. So I'm going to select the destination, and I'm going to hit create. You can either make a new spreadsheet sheets, or it can go into something that already exists. So I'm going to hit create, and then it's populated there. So all of the information that was collected in that form is now in these sheets. So that would go for anything. So when you create like an exit ticket, for class time, all of the answers would populate into sheets. This is how I created my contact database of information. So I did not, I probably, in the top family contact information that you see, I probably did organize this in such a way, but the initial population was from a form on this family contact info. So no, you do not have to sit there and type in all your people's information, all your choir members or your band members or however you want to use it. It will self-populate into a sheet, and then you could download into a PDF or however and reorganize the information. It's also good for music cataloging. So when I got to CES, there was no kind of tracking of all of the music library. It was just a whole bunch of stuff, and I didn't know, and I was ordering music that already existed because I hadn't had time to sift through like the 5 file cabinets. So one year I made it a project and had some high schoolers get some extra credit to literally go through and catalog all of the music. And what was great about doing this in Google Sheets was that I had multiple kids working on this at the same time. And you share it to somebody else, and you can all be working on the same document, and you can see things as they're being entered. So multiple people can be working at the same time, same file. Okay. Moving on. Any questions about Google Sheets or Forms or other Google products, even if I didn't mention them? Let's see, check the chat. Is it best to use uploads in Google Drive or the Google Classroom? I think it would be a preference thing. So Alyssa Rowe asked if it was best to use Google Drive or Google Classroom for uploads. Alyssa, do you mean kids, like students uploading to you, or you uploading to share with the kids?
Thinking about, like for grades. So if if it's something you're going to grade, then you'd probably want to use the classroom, right? But I don't know which one's easier.
Well, they're integrated.
Okay.
So I think that when you can pull something from Google Drive into Google Classroom and share it there. But I'm not, Google Classroom's probably not my greatest area of expertise. So still learning it.
And we use Moodle instead of Google Classroom, which is just dumb.
Right.
So anyway.
Yes. We are just now switching over to Classroom after everyone said to be strong with Moodle. Yeah. Okay, so distributing information. How do you get all the stuff? So if you've created a form, how do you get it to people? If you've got a flyer that you want to share, send home, how do you make sure that it actually gets to parents? Or how do you quickly give stuff out at a meeting? If you have a parent meeting, what's the easiest way instead of giving a lot of paper that they're going to lose or throw away or leave at the meeting, right? Because we've all picked up afterwards. So I have found that a great way to do this is QR codes. Obviously, in a virtual environment where no one is in person, QR codes are kind of pointless. But in an in-person scenario, it is super helpful because, thanks. Yeah, sorry, the chat keeps getting in the way. You can basically, so QR codes are actually pretty old, but they came out probably about 8 or 9 years ago, maybe more, and then they kind of drifted away, and then they came back a little bit more in the last couple of years. But basically, the QR code is what you see on the screen, and it's something that can be scanned to go to link to another thing. You could make a QR code that went to a web page, a presentation, like in this case. It could also go to a contact information. It could lead to anything that you have an address or link to. You can put that inside of a QR code, and it's actually free to do. I have not ever paid for a subscription on any of these QR codes that are mentioned here. There's the QR code generator.com, QR code stuff, QR code monkey. And all you do is you go to the website, any of the ones I mentioned, you insert whatever link or file that you want it to point to, you download it, and then put that on a document. And all you have to do is scan it. So if you want to try this out, well, that's not an actual live QR code, but anytime and it's not anything fancy, you don't need a special phone or app on your phone, excuse me. All you need is your actual camera. The only times I've ever had issues is occasionally Androids or other smartphones that weren't iPhones would maybe have an issue with it, but I've noticed in like the last year or so, even those have gotten much more efficient at doing those. So all I do is literally open up my camera and then point it at the code, and what will happen is that a link will drop down. So actually here, what I'm gonna do is go back. So I'm gonna go back to my first page to show you guys this. Can y'all still see me? Yeah, okay, awesome. So what I'm gonna do is scan this, and can y'all see that on my phone? At the top, there's a link that popped up. That's what happens. So I'm gonna tap on that link, and then it opens up whatever is attached to that QR code. And then whatever you needed them to get, they have got it. So in context, let me jump back to where we were. Okay, so what's that look like in actuality? That means that you could, so if you wanted to do signups for choir, for band, talent show, whatever, you could literally create a QR code that linked to the registration form that you created in Google Forms and put that on your flyer. So these are actual graphics that were created for that purpose. So this choir sign up form was one I created at CES, actually for last year, because Angel Carter's information is on there. As well as for Essence Festival, I manage a team of about 40 or 50 people in the summer, and we do a huge orientation. And so instead of doing a paper sign-in, I had that on a screen, and everybody who walked in the room scanned the code. It popped up a Google form that I actually had as a sign-in sheet, and then populate, so I could populate exactly who was at the meeting. Any question on QR codes? Okay, awesome. All right, so short links is what has been a huge help to me, even more so than QR codes. Don't you hate when you need to share a link, but it's like long as the day? Like, for example, if I wanted to share something in my Google Drive, obviously you can get a link, copy the link, and share it. It's super, super long, like the one you see on the screen, especially if you needed to put that on a flyer or on some kind of paper form, or if you wanted to share it on social media and you didn't want to share that really long link, you can literally shorten the link. Google used to have a whole platform for that. They were kind of phasing it out, but there is one that is outside of Google, and it's called Bitly. And it's bit.ly. So you would just go, so if you had, for example, if you had this long link in here, instead of posting it, you would go to Bitly, and there's no .com on it, by the way. It's literally just bit.ly. Go to Bitly. You do have to set up an account, but you can do the free account, and I've still been creating multiple links, so there's no limit to it. But go there, copy paste the original long link, and then it will populate a link for you. The one that they populate automatically will have like a lot of random characters, but you can customize the link. So I, for this presentation, did bit.ly/choirtechprez. You could name it whatever as long as that link doesn't already exist. So say if somebody else random in Beijing also had a presentation and created a short link with Choir Tech Prez, I couldn't reuse it. So once it's out there in the internet space, it cannot be reused because there's only one address to a place, right? So it is super, super helpful when I do create things on social media. I use these short links. It just looks a lot cleaner and it's a lot easier to communicate. So if you needed to do to send out a link for your students to go to a specific website. So even in class, like even in your Google Classroom, if you were just railing off in person, okay, everybody, I need everybody on their Chromebooks to go to this specific website, or a link to something that maybe was in your Google Drive, instead of having to give them some really long link name, you literally could create a shorter version of that. So if you've created the fancy Bitmoji classroom, you could literally you could share that or publish it from Google Slides. Then you could create a short link to it and then say, all right, everybody, I need you to go to bit.ly/Carranza's Corner. And that could be your classroom link, and they would go straight to it. So really, really easy and convenient. Okay. Communications. So, let's see. Chrome for extensions. Yes, the Chrome extensions are the bomb. You need all the things. Thanks, Caleb. Okay, so ways of communicating. I know some of these are not, they're probably not allowed. I know that Remind, God bless St. Tammany Parish, is not allowed, even though it is the greatest slice of bread ever baked. If you're not familiar with, I'll say it briefly. I don't know if the Tangi teachers are allowed to use Remind
We
or
are.
not. Yes?
Yeah.
Oh,
At least as far as I know, they haven't told us we can't.
just go with that. Right? Forgiveness. Ask forgiveness. It is such an incredible way to communicate with students, and not with students because you're not supposed to, with parents. I used it extensively when I taught at private school, just because it was so easy. It eliminated excuses for, oh, I forgot, or I didn't hear them say that, or my kid didn't tell me that. I would make sure. So what you can, here, I think I've got a whole. So with Remind, if you don't know what it is, you also, St. Tammany teachers, if you have groups outside of school, like if you have church choir or any other music groups or whatever, you can use it no matter what, even if it's not school related. It is just a great resource to use for contacting en masse. So mass texting greatness. You can message individuals or classes or groups. So basically you put people in groups. You can upload all of their names either individually, or you can actually upload them with a spreadsheet. So you can send one-way communications and announcements. You can start a small group chat where everyone can communicate with each other. I loved to send out a quick announcement like, don't forget, we had 7 a.m. choir rehearsals before school rehearsals at CES, and I would oftentimes, especially like coming after a break or holiday, I would text like that the day before, don't forget choir in the morning. So this and there was never a time that I didn't get, oh my God, thank you so much, Miss Miller, we totally forgot. And so it just eliminated so many issues. You can also see who reads the text. So there's often times when there was unread, and I already knew, oh, so that parent hasn't read it, they're probably not gonna be here. You can also attach media, and you can integrate Google Drive and send links that way. So if you're allowed to use Remind or you use it outside of the school context, it is a really great tool to use. Also, what I did this year, after we were out of school and still trying to keep in contact with parents, and I did not want to give out my personal cell phone number to parents, is I actually used Google Voice. That way it actually, and it will not work from our school Google account, but I had from the beginning of the year set up a Google account just for school, in my attempt to navigate transition from private school to public school and like not do all the illegal things. I just created a Google account, and then because we were still doing our virtual videos, I was hosting interviews on Zoom with musicians in the spring, after we were all on virtual. And so I actually used Google Voice to set up a phone number that was not my actual cell phone number, and then I would send out texts to parents. So they could get the text messages, respond back to me. And the great thing is that I never was even on my phone. There is a Google Voice app that you can get on your smartphone, but I actually used it from my computer. So you can go to Google, I think it's voice.google.com, set it up, and then it looks just like a chat screen where you're sending the messages, receiving the messages, and it just made it really easy. You can also send a message to I think maybe a group of 10 at a time. So it's kind of wonky in the way that you can't hit like a send to all and it sends individual messages. So that was probably one of the drawbacks. So a lot of times I was literally like copy paste, which kind of got annoying. I have probably about 40 students. So that's a really different situation. And it was kind of like, I guess so, because they also kept responding in group format and I didn't want to do it that way. So I'd rather just keep everybody individual for privacy. Also, there is GroupMe. That's another great group messaging app to use, as well as if you're allowed to, setting up a private Facebook group for your choir, for your band, that the parents belong to, that you can quickly send out announcements, reminders, and things like that, and just create a better community within your parents. I find that that's always, I mean, they're on Facebook anyway. If they're not answering those emails, they're still on Facebook. Okay, so we've already talked about Remind. So now let's jump into creating content, which is my favorite. So I, on the low key end, love to dabble in graphic design. I have no official fancy training in it, but just by need and necessity, have had to do a lot of design work over the years, and you guys as well, in creating flyers, your concert programs, all the things. And it's 2020 and it's time for us to jump out of Publisher and making stuff in Word. There are way too many fancy looking but easy to use resources that it doesn't have to look like that no more. Like, we can get beyond the Word 1997 clip art. Amen. Amen. So let me show you some resources that are easy to use. There are free versions of, and you can just live your best creative life. So there is Canva. There's Google Slides, which is already in your Google Drive. There's also Poster My Wall, which has a lot of templates. There is remove.bg, which is a huge lifesaver. So if you've ever needed to put an image or a picture, a graphic into a document or into a slide, but it had the funky white background or any background that you didn't want in it, remove.bg, there's no .com in it, that's literally the website for that. You can upload the image and it will automatically remove the background as best that it can. And then you can go back in and tweak it. So if it took off something that was actually supposed to be there, you can like undo in that area. It's really easy to use. Now they even have it where you can insert a different background, or you can actually blur the background around the image that you need. So it has been a huge lifesaver. And then once you finish and it's however you want, you just download it from there and put it into whatever you're creating. So also Bitmoji, that's what everybody's been talking about. Bitmoji is an extension that you can, you've seen my Bitmojis in the beginning pages or slides of this presentation, but you create it, try and make it look like you if you can, but as an extension, and it will live, if you can see on my screen, that extension can live right there. And then if you're working on something in slides or a document, you literally can click on the little icon in your toolbar and find what you're looking for. And this is super helpful if you're going to be creating those virtual digital classrooms, to have it there. And already in the recents. But if I wanted to have myself sitting on a couch, then I literally can right control or right click it, copy it, and put it into whatever I'm working on. So it's amazing. Like you could also, I was looking at one that was running, and sometimes they take a little bit to upload, but you can actually make an animated appearing to be animated Bitmoji classroom or banner, and you can do that. Watch a YouTube video, just search it. I did it this morning. It was really fun. But you can do an animated version and you just click run, and then a couple of different of those. But what I do want to spend a little bit of time on is Canva. Canva is a design spot, which is where I made this presentation, by the way. If you're not familiar with Canva, it's canva.com. This is what the homepage looks like. It's literally like all the times that you said, well, I don't have Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or any of those creative suite things that cost a lot of money. You don't need those. Canva, you can get a free version of Canva to use, and literally you can start from scratch or you can create things from templates. So Canva is kind of like where I spend life all the time. So, and it just keeps all your designs all together. You can see I do a lot of design work for my church, and so I'm constantly on here making, whether it's banners, you can customize to any different size. Now you can do animated things in Canva. This was my beginning of the year presentation. Here's where I did the choir tech and that flyer that you saw from before. Any of these things. And here, I'll go into the presentation actually. So this is working in Canva directly. So it's my same presentation, but in the actual working form. So it is really easy to use. You could, let's see. Let me add a new page. So if I just start from scratch, I could use a template that's already created. There are loads of images that you could use that are free images, by the way. It's a great way to, they have thousands and probably millions, I don't know, stock images that you can insert there. If you're not looking for an actual photograph, there are all kinds of elements, shapes, grids. If you wanted to do like a photo grid, you could do that. Let's see, if you wanted to put charts, gradients, you can make it look like you're a fancy designer and you never were, but it will be amazing nonetheless. I also did, let's see, is that the slideshow for my virtual, I think there's a program in here. Let's see. So this is also a place where you could, in theory, create your concert program. So you don't have to create it in Word or even in Google at all. I literally created this in Canva. So it was the order of our virtual recital. Let's see. I think some of these, or full-on concert. I think that was just the flyer. But so many options to do things in Canva. And then you can share it. So you can download it as, let's see, I can either present this. So I could have technically presented, oh, actually I am. I'm presenting this straight out of Canva. You also can download it as a PDF, as a PNG, which is a transparent background, as a JPEG, one for print. You actually can order prints if you wanted to do your business cards in here. You could order them straight from Canva. You can also do animated, make videos in here as well. So all the things. Canva's a one-stop shop.
Can you order posters too, like from them directly?
Yep, you sure could. Yeah, anything that you create in Canva, you can order it, like the hard copy of it, I guess. Okay. All right, so let's jump to notation. So we won't stay here too long because I'm getting towards the end of my time. But we all need to know good places to create music. What I've been using more recently is Noteflight. It's a little bit more on, so this is basic notation, but online. So if you are needing to create sheet music exercises, if you want your kids to learn how to do music notation, it's a great way. The only issue with Noteflight, and we were talking about this with our talented music teachers, is that you have to create accounts for them. So what I was doing, which I'm still learning all of the public school parish rules for things, to be honest, I created a couple different accounts myself that were all for the purpose of students to use them. So some of the classrooms, because I teach at multiple schools, at like Chafuncta, I was in a classroom that had a couple different computer stations, and so I would just set up different student accounts on those computers and have the kids work in Noteflight. So we were doing, I was having them compose and then using Noteflight for them to actually make that notation so they could see that their music would be printed out and read just like a regular score. So the kids really got a kick out of that. But I also used it for myself when I needed to make exercises for the kids, when I needed to notate, like when we did body percussion and then I needed to make notation to give to the kids. I wrote it in Noteflight. So that's kind of like an online version of Finale or Sibelius. Or MuseScore is also another one to use for that. So the next one is Penultimate. Penultimate itself is not a music software or music notation. It is actually a notes app. So just like Evernote, it actually integrates with Evernote, or just the regular notes app on your phone. But what's really cool about it, and I'll let me pull up a screenshot of it, is that you can change what the format of a note, and they have music ones. I didn't think about it before, but I can actually just show you the screen. So I'm gonna, if you guys can see me, on my iPad is where I use it, and it's if you have an iPad and an Apple Pen by chance, if you're one of those people that was like, ooh, let me buy all the accessories, like I did on a random impulse buy, and then found out how cool it could be. So if you create a document in Penultimate, there's a lot of different formats that you could do those notes in, and all the way at the bottom are music ones, music notation. So I can select staff paper as the background. So they're pretty close together, but with an Apple Pen, which is way across the room, so I won't go grab it, but in theory, you could write notes on the staff, which if you look at my screen share is what I did. So during class, I would had my iPad connected with an adapter, of course, to the projector or the computer, and then so that they would see my iPad on the screen, and we would actually talk through the lesson and write things on the iPad with the Apple Pencil. And so we were writing scales out. Obviously, this is probably really messy, and I was doing it on the fly really quickly, and I just screenshot it today. But you literally could work on exercises. You also, what I would do was take a picture of maybe a score, put it in there, and add it as a picture to Penultimate, and then I could write on top of that picture of the sheet music. Or if I wanted a bigger staff, which one time I did do that, I took a picture and inserted that and then wrote on top of it. So it was really, really handy to do things like that. So. And then also the bigger notation apps is Fourscore. If you actually, in this presentation, on a later note, if you click on this app, it'll take you to a tutorial, an overview of Fourscore. But Fourscore and also this next one is Sheet Music Scanner. Both of these are apps that you can actually take a picture of a score, and then it will upload into the app. And then one of the greatest parts about it is that it will play that music. So if you are a music teacher or who's like primarily vocal and not good at playing piano, this is a great way to take a picture of the score, upload it, and it will play that music back for you, and you don't have to be a great pianist. Yay. You also could designate it to only play one part, and it will export the audio. So upload your sheet music by taking pictures of it, and then it can you can export an MP3, which is really great for an accompaniment track. It's also great for making part tracks as well. So both of those are amazing. I've used Sheet Music Scanner a good bit more than Fourscore. Yeah, Fourscore. Yes.
Are they just Apple platforms, or does Android work as well?
I think that they are Apple.
I think it's Android too.
Do they have Android one?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Thank you. Well, stop. Are there questions in there that I need to answer? Let's see. Oh, bye, Paula. Canva's wonderful. Oh, yes, thank you. It does transpose as well. All of the great things. Oops. Okay, so speaking of audio files, let's talk about real quickly about recording and audio editing. So most people know to use Audacity, which is great for especially if you are on a PC, and then GarageBand if you're on a Mac. But there are definitely other options. One that people have been using more so in the last couple of years for your phone would be the acapella app. So really great if you're wanting to put a couple of different vocalists together. It's kind of the virtual choir, virtual band before there was a need for it, where you could have multiple people adding on, or it could be all one person adding on parts. So it's not only audio, but it's also video, and then everyone can sing a different part and all of those be combined together. So that's like pre-virtual band before they called it that. Also, two apps on, so the other two apps on here, Voice Memo app is for iPhones, and then I am not an Android user, no shade or anything, but ASR Voice Record is one app that I did look up for Android. So if anyone has an Android and uses some other voice recording apps, you're welcome to chime in and let me know what good ones you use, but those are already in there. There's plenty other. If you just go to your app store on your phone and type in voice recording, there's a gazillion apps that you can download to your phone to record parts. You can have the kids record parts and upload in a Google form if you need it to upload for that. But the one that I want to spend a little bit of time on is Soundtrap. And that's Trap with a P, because it is the online version of GarageBand and Audacity. No connection or relation, but in functionality. Soundtrap has been such a huge lifesaver. The premise behind Soundtrap is that you can create music and collaborate with anyone, anywhere. So it's a global online audio editing recording platform. Well, and it's a digital audio workstation is the official title for that. Best for, so you can use it on your computer or your device. It's a website, so web-based. You can record tracks in there. You can edit. Why we can use it doesn't require it. I just checked. No to Android. Okay. Oh, nice. Yes, GarageBand. You certainly can. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. So if you are unfamiliar with Soundtrap, this is a screen share of it. I'm also going to show you guys live how this works. So there is a basic plan that you can use for free. You do have access to technically everything, just not as wide of a variety of instruments. So you can also use loops, and plenty of settings for the instruments. You can connect devices with MIDI cables to do all that. Then the first tier is $7.99 a month, which you just get access to more things. There's also an Soundtrap for education. I use that at my private school when there was money for that. It is really pricey. It's based on how many kids are in the class or how many kids are going to need accounts for it. The lowest level is for 50 seats or 50 students, and that's at $249, and it just goes up from there. So I was brainstorming this for our talented music program for the parish, where we have like 179 or so kids, and that like an account for 180-ish was gonna be like $900, which is like, I was like, dash all my hopes and dreams. But I was like, maybe we could fundraise for this. So all things are possible though. But some other maybe not top of mind ways to use Soundtrap is for podcasting and recording projects. So I actually had my kids do podcasting, not in public school, but in private school. It was a group project where the kids had to come up with a podcast idea, flush it out, write their scripts out. And it only had to be like 5 minutes. And I let them listen. First, we talked about what podcasts are. And I let them listen to some other kids doing podcasts. And they were like, oh my gosh, that's like so cringy. I could totally do that better. Right? And but it's a lot harder than you think to talk for that long of a time on a certain subject and be like decently knowledgeable about it. But I'm going to quickly show you live in Soundtrap. So this is what, well, here, I'll go. So if you went to soundtrap.com, this is what it looks like. There's the education one. You can see the pricing model that I just mentioned. They offer a lot of different things, monthly or yearly. And then here, I'm gonna click on, so if you've got your own account, this is random, but all of your projects will be listed together. If you happen to afford an education account and had one for your students, what you do is create classes and then give each kid a code for that class. So they would all be grouped together by class. They can only work with the kids in their class. So it is technically like very privatized or set up for school privacy. They can collaborate. So you can add, kind of like Google is, you can add someone or share the project and multiple people can work on the same thing, is what Soundtrap does. So you could add someone to your project. Say I play piano and I'm gonna add my piano track and another person plays guitar. We never have to be in the same room. They can record theirs into the same project. There's no moving files or sending my part. We all are working in the same thing together. So I'm going to show you the greatest use for this on the teacher end is if you needed to create part recordings for your students. So what I did, elementary middle schoolers, the virtual band video that they did for Here Comes the Sun, I created parts for them since we had to learn it so quickly and I couldn't work with them in person. So I made recordings for this. So you would just you can add as many tracks as you need to. What I did was I imported the original recording of the Beatles. Okay, so, and then I don't even think I used, if you have a good computer, you can use the microphone that's in your computer. I think what I did at the time is I played the track and recorded on my phone and then imported. But either option works. It just depends on how good your software is. So I'm going to, what I had just done was did a solo, so you could only hear the track I had highlighted. But here is all of these. So I recorded melody on a track, the lower melody, part 2, part 3. I think I accidentally added that, so I can delete that extra piano track that was not necessary. Can't remember how that ended up in there. And the end result is this. Here comes the sun. So all of these are me. You know how you make parts. I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been so you can see all the layers coming through. Little darling, so let me get back to a chorus. So if I isolated just one of those tracks, you can hear how I had put it in from the beginning. Here comes the sun. So what you can do is once you've saved this, and you have to, there's no autosave, by the way. So many children crashed and burned because they didn't save their projects. Bless them. But you do need to keep saving. And then once you are ready, it's gonna say mixing, and that can actually take quite a while depending on how many tracks you have. But once that is done mixing, in the same spot, it will give a little download icon. You'll click on that, and then you have your file with all of these. If you say you wanted to export individually, so if I just hit export, it would give me all of this. But if anything that is muted will be muted in the export. So if I want to just do the original track with the lower melody, and I meant lower octave melody, then I could solo those 2 tracks and then save and export again. Let's see. Was that a question in the chat about this? Can you upload them? I'll upload already. Yes. Yes, you can. Elizabeth, you can upload. You can upload any recording into there. And on some projects, depending on what computer I was using, I needed to do that because it didn't have a good enough microphone for me to record it in straight in. So maybe I recorded it on my phone, which gave me a little bit better quality to put that in. But Soundtrap has been incredible. This is also, if you've ever had to cut down a recording of something, you could also do that in here. So you could import. I remember, I think maybe it was Pam that had a lot of questions like doing talent show and how do you do like shorter versions of songs and like shorten a clip or something. You could put that into Soundtrap. This is a longer way of doing things because there's quicker versions of this. But you could put it in Soundtrap and literally cut down the track that easily and then save and export it. Okay? So that is the greatness that is Soundtrap. And as I was just mentioning, if you needed to cut down a track, you could go to literally audiotrimmer.com. It's amazing. You just upload the track, and then move the arrows back and forth and hit export and or download, I think it says. Chrissy, when one uploads an already made recording to Soundtrap, does it automatically split up the parts? No, it does not. John Clark. No, there's no, it will, if you upload a track, it only goes in on one track line. So no, you couldn't, it wouldn't just do that. Yeah. Okay, transposer.com. So if you had a recording of something and you needed it to be in a different key, there's an easy website for that. Transposer.com, there's no E in transposer, by the way. You can transpose an MP3. You could also transpose a chord chart. I haven't messed with that very much, but I have transposed songs a gazillion times, especially for church things when we needed to do songs in different keys. It is a lifesaver if you need something in a different key. It does, with most transposition recordings, it does make the audio very funky. So the farther down you transpose, the more deep, manly bass it's gonna sound. And then if you go, oh, it's sound like a. So do beware. I wouldn't transpose like more than a third in any direction because it's just gonna sound. But if you just need it for the sake of background music, yes, and you can. Thanks, Gary or Pam. All the things that I'm mentioning happen in Audacity. So these are just newer versions to Audacity things. Okay. So we're kind of getting down to the end here. So if you're wondering where you can continue to learn about new things, I have a couple of places that you can go. There's probably plenty more since I created this, but there's a lot of great blogs. There's Midnight Music, which you can subscribe to, which Katie Wardrobe, I think she's Australian, and she just has like a wealth of information, lots of free resources. There's also Make Moments Matter with David Rowe. He has a really great Instagram that I follow, always posting really cool things. Also, there's musetech.net. And then I've also found very helpful our podcast, which I've listened to Music Tech Teacher Network, Miss Miracle's Music Room, and then Choir Ninja. Some of these are not current, like they're not still producing new podcasts, but they're still archived on Spotify or on their websites or in iTunes podcasts. Those are so helpful to hear information or to hear how certain things work and just to stay up on all the tech things that are going. And as of late, probably the biggest vat of resources for me has been the Facebook groups. They are like, oh my gosh, they are the hugest treasure of all things great right now. I feel like there's like an infinite amount of music teacher Facebook groups. I am in so many of them, and I'm constantly hitting save link, like to go back later because it's so much information. So I'm a choir director. There are, I think, like tens of thousands of choir teachers in that group on Facebook. Elementary Educators Idea Bank. Google Classroom for music teachers. So if you're trying to get your Bitmoji classroom game on, great resource. Like people are just constantly posting like, ooh, look what I did. Bitmoji Craze for educators, Bitmoji and digital rooms for music teachers, and then music school chorus directors. I just listed a couple. I probably belong to a good maybe 10 more in addition to these, whether it's high school choir directors, church choir directors, like there's just so many. And the great thing is that people are so willing to share their resources, that it's an awesome way to, especially right now, everyone's asking, okay, we can't sing. What can I do? Or I'm teaching K through 3 and I'm going to be on a cart and I've never been on a cart. There's also a Facebook group for music teachers on a cart. So whatever you need, you could probably find it in a Facebook group. So, all right, just a couple last few things throw in that didn't really fit anywhere. If you need to edit a PDF, I know this is super random, but you find yourself needing stuff like, hey, I have a PDF someone sent me and I need to do work on, or just edit a form. PDF Escape is awesome. You upload the PDF, you can type into it, and then export it, and it's awesome. Also, online resources for general music, for tech specifically. Music Tech Teacher is lots of online games and lessons. Also, musictheory.net is another one where kids can go online themselves and self-guided going through lessons, and then you can customize their exercises. They can go in and customize, and it was really great in our TAP teacher Zoom earlier this week, is that they showed us that you can create an exercise and then send the kids a code to do the exercise, and then receive the results and see their answers and how they did on that exercise. So musictheory.net is going to be really great, especially if your kids all are coming to music class with Chromebooks. You can assign them to work on musictheory.net themselves to do that. You know you were going to have to share this presentation. Oh, yes. That was the plan. I'm going to actually type it in the chat, the link to this. Okay. So, woohoo! We made it to the end. Any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns? You don't like me, I don't like you. Just kidding. Anything you guys have? You guys have been awesome in the chat. I'm going to type in the link to this. bit.ly. Thank you all for taking the time to do this. I know that it can be super overwhelming, but we are gonna stick together. We got this, y'all. We got this. So here's the link. I just put it in the chat to this presentation, bit.ly/choirtechprez, and it will take you directly to the things. And it's a short link like we talked about. So there you go. I think, Alyssa, you're going to take over and go through, if no one has any questions, of course.
I just have a quick thing to show you guys for anybody who wanted to get started on a virtual classroom, those Bitmoji classrooms. Let's see. I pulled mine up so I can just show y'all a couple things.
Okay. Stop sharing.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, you have to make me the host again.
Oh, sorry.
Transfer it back. No, it's cool.
Make host.
And I actually use that remove.bg website a lot for this, to find the images that I wanted to use. Okay, let's see here. Try that again. Okay, so here we go. So mine's not very extensive right now, but this is what I have, and I tried to make mine look kind of like my own classroom. So this is the page that they're going to go to. It's just like a slideshow on my end. It looks exactly like a slideshow. When all my students come on, they're going to get the same classroom. My choir students will click on the choir link. Piano students click on the piano link. This is where on the little television screen, their weekly objectives for virtual learning are going to be. This FJH Canes links to the school's homepage. So if they need to get back there, they can. It's all accessible through my virtual classroom. And then I also have like an About Me page for the beginning of the year where they can click on my name, and it'll link them to this slide so they can just like, see some things about me, because I won't know 50% of my students at the beginning of the year. But let's see. And on sorry, let me go back to that for a second. Every page except for the Fountainblue Junior High homepage has a little the word home in the corner somewhere where they can go back to the original. So if they click on choir, they're going to go to our choir page. We're going to be using ukuleles in our choir room until we can sing. That'll be a big part of our beginning of the year things. This, I'm gonna link the PDF to their whatever sheet music that we're working on. I don't have anything linked right now, but it is linked to a folder in my Google Drive where I'm gonna drop all of that music. Sight reading exercise or rhythm exercise will be linked here. So if they click on this now, it goes to this, which is, just like a very basic rhythm chart. That'll change once or twice a week based on, wherever we are in class learning. Piano students go here. There's not too much here. They'll have some piano music linked in those 2 workbooks on the shelf for students who do have a piano at home, but most of them won't. Warm-ups that they can work on, rhythm exercise, ukulele resources, and a musictheory.net link as well, because we use that a lot. And they're also, like I said, gonna have a daily rhythm to work on at home. So let's see if I go back out of this. Okay, so the biggest thing for me was figuring out how to get the images on there, which is, I found kind of like Chrissy said in Canva, stock images on Google Images, but you just have to make sure that it's not anything that belongs to someone, because if it's an image of something that's, not anything you own, or that like something from someone's teachers page or something like that, then, there's, issues with licensing there. So you have to be careful, but to remove backgrounds, I used remove.bg. And as far as linking things or websites, all you do is you click your word or your image. So like for the FJH Canes, I clicked on the image, and then you go to insert, link, and you can, let's see if I do something different actually. Insert, keep having to move this little box somewhere. Link. So you can copy and paste your whatever website you want that to go to, or you click on slides in this presentation and you can choose another slide in your slideshow that you want that directly to go to. So it took a little bit of kind of like playing around with it, but I did these. Let's see, I also have a slide with sight reading reminders, a little ukulele chord chart, and this is gonna have a little short video, a minute or so of me talking out the objectives for each week. Or it might be, for each unit, what we're working on for, that particular time, just something that they can see my face while they're at home. And I'll link tech tutorials here. So yeah, figuring out how to link things was huge, but once I got that and figured out how to remove the backgrounds of my images, it was super easy. So they'll have links here to like warm-ups on YouTube and things that they can do, practice tracks for their music that we're working on. You just have to be sure that when you want to share it, and I haven't done this yet, but you have to publish it to the web, and you're going to post a link on your Google Classroom so that when they go to it, they won't be able to move everything all around. So if you just share your slideshow with them, you always run the risk of them moving everything around on accident or on purpose, I don't know. So just make sure you get it published and you send them the link to the published slideshow. So this is kind of what I've been working on, but it used a lot of the elements that Chrissy talked about. So
yeah. Alyssa.
Yes.
Do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
So a couple of things. You can actually, unless you found an image outside of here, if you went to insert and then insert from web inside of the Google Slides. So you go to image and then search for the web, and it'll pull up there. Whatever you're looking for, so if you were looking for piano, if you just type in transparent or PNG, it will pull up ones that don't have backgrounds already.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I did not know that. That's awesome.
And so then you just, I think, double click or click and then hit insert, and it'll put those in wherever you want them.
Cool, that's super cool. I did
And
not.
then if you don't want, so on your, when you make a link, first of all, you, instead of like going to insert and then going to links, there's a link icon in the toolbar right above your ukulele there.
Yes.
You can do insert link if you were clicking
Cool.
on something. And then if it was text and you didn't want the underline, you could just go and edit that text and take out away the underline if you didn't want it
Right.
like underlined in there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not something that bothered me too much. But you know, I'm definitely not a perfectionist by any means.
It's totally whichever you are, it's totally fine. But yeah, so those are just I was watching some videos this morning, and they pointed those things out. So super.
Yeah, but those two those Facebook groups that Chrissy put at the end of her presentation helped me a lot in getting started with mine. I mean, and you can always add things or take away things, and it might just be like, you know, something really simple like click here for today's rhythm, like, and it might just be that, you know, and that's enough. But it's something that, you know, is a little bit more like visually enticing for them to want to try to interact with things at home where otherwise they might not, you know, make the effort to do anything. Because there's only so much we can do when they're at home and we're at school. But you know, so that it's as opposed to just having this is your assignment for the day on Google Classroom. So just something extra. It's not anything you have to have by any means, but you know, for 7th and 8th graders, I'll take anything I can get to get some attention from them. Any kind of, you know, anything. So, yeah. But if anybody wants to do that or needs help or whatever, I'd be happy to like just, you know, talk with you one-on-one and show you what I did to get started, and you can just kind of go from there. So did anybody else have any other questions about anything Google Classroom, Google Suites type thing?
Hey, Alyssa, I had a question.
Hey, yeah.
When you had your site reading image up there, was that just like a PDF that you made?
So yeah, somebody that I know shared with me a whole like my internet, something's happening. Shared with me like a rhythm chart like book, a PDF of the book. So I have that PDF and it's tiered, so it starts with really basic, you know, steady beat and then, you know, quarter notes like what that was. And it goes to very, you know, I mean, at least for junior high, pretty advanced like 8th note triplets and, you know, all arrangements of 16th notes and things like that. So I'd be happy to share that PDF with whoever wants that. It's
Sure.
several pages long. So I just took a screenshot of it and I imported it as an image.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, yeah, Marcy says there's a PDF version of that rhythm chart online. She said she recognized it. So yeah, you can shoot me an email or a Facebook message and I can send it to you that way, or you could find it online. That's cool. Awesome. Cool.
It might be fun to have, or not fun, but useful to maybe do like a shared Google folder, like in Drive, where everybody could like pop in a bunch of resources.
That's true. That's a good idea. The thing is, I tried today to share the recording of the high school teachers meeting that was yesterday with all the other high school teachers who weren't able to be there. And I can't send anything in our school's Google Drive to Tangi.
Oh.
You have to be in the network. Like, I'm assuming that means you have to have an SCPSB email to share from our SCPSB Google. That doesn't mean I can't use my own personal Google Gmail account because I have one.
Yeah.
But
so it wouldn't let you change the share settings?
It said no, it was restricted in network or restricted to whoever was invited. But then when I tried to invite you, it wouldn't send to anything outside SCPSB. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if there's a way anyone's found out to get around that, or if anyone else has noticed that, or even tried to send anything yet. But Yeah, so I'll be sending some things to you guys, like these recordings for whoever wants to reference them from my personal Gmail, just because I haven't figured out yet if or how to share from the STPSB Google Drive. So we'll see. Yeah, no. That's what I thought. Okay, so Becky said she had the same problem. I thought that they said something about that in the classroom training, or someone made a comment about it when I was going through the classroom training. But I didn't remember, of course, until I tried to send something and then couldn't do it. So
that means in theory that if we wanted to share something from our drive to a parent, we wouldn't be able to.
that's what it sounds like, and that's an element I didn't even think about, which is really frustrating.
Well, I guess maybe if it was in classroom.
Maybe it's different if you're trying to send it from classroom. I have no idea.
I've been able to change the settings within the Google Drive where anybody can have access to it if you want, and you can do it for the individual items.
But yeah, that's what I think. So let me see if I go to
I made a website, a Google site, and originally the Google site was only accessible to Tangi, but I made it so anyone can get to the site, and then just within it, I made it where people in the school could see the actual document.
Let me see if I can show you really quick for whoever wants to try to figure this out with me. But if you guys don't have any other questions, I don't want to hold you though. But just throwing that out. I'm just going to try to see if I can figure this out. It's very possible it was just me, and I just didn't know what I was doing. Let me share this again. Okay. All right, so where did I just put that? Okay, so here's where I was. Where did I drop that? District 9, Zoom. Okay, so when I went to share it, let's see, share. When I tried it, let me just, because you were the one that was saying, let me just see.
So where it says below restricted, you click change link, you can change those settings below that. Where it says get link, and that's where you change it to everybody.
Oh, right, but.
And then you drop that down arrow.
This one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And.
Oh.
That's all we have.
Well, never mind. That's what it usually is.
That is usually where you would do that.
Yeah, I tried that. I was opening it. I was hoping I was just not seeing it. But yeah, that's St. Tammany. They're very restrictive with their people's privacy, to such an extent that is probably definitely not necessary all the time, but I get it. I get the want, but anyway, so anything from Alyssa Carranza, different Gmail, still me, just, trying to work around it. I wonder though, if we can drop files that we want to share on our Facebook page. Cause I shared the year's calendar, which is not the updated one anymore, on our vocal Facebook page. I wonder if we can make a new one. So like if instrumental teachers want to drop stuff too, cause being that we can't sing or play, we're going to be doing a lot of similar things, for the foreseeable future. So I wonder if we can make a new group where we can drop files like that on the Facebook page. Yeah. Something to consider.
Files area. Mm-hmm.
Save it to your computer and upload to an external Google Drive. I don't know what that is. An external Google Drive.
And have you guys heard if or that we would be transitioning to Google Meet instead of Zoom if we have to be virtual with the kids? Is it?
I haven't heard that. I hope not, because
Google Meet is not as good as Zoom. I'm just telling you, because I use both.
That's what I've heard too. And that's why I'd prefer for them to not do it. And I'm scared that they're going to, because like I said, they like to make restrictions on a lot of things. And in order to try to control the settings of those things, which I get, but yeah, I haven't heard anything. I hope they don't. They were letting us use Zoom in the spring, so
right.
I would hope that they would leave it up to our choice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, all right.
What I meant
uploading to an external drive was like your personal drive. And if you have it on your computer, can you upload it outside of the school system to your personal Google Drive?
Oh yeah, I can do it.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can upload the same file to my personal Google Drive. Yeah, for sure. And then send it out that way. Yeah, that's what I was gonna do for these. But I just, it'd be easier since we all use the same platform to just share within the platform if we could, but it's cool. It's fine. I can use my own. Yeah. All right. So if anybody else has any questions, feel free to email me or Chrissy. I'm sure she'd be happy to help via email or whatever.
Sure.
And yeah, just let us know if you need anything. If I don't know, I'll find you an answer somewhere. So thanks everybody for coming, and I'll see some of you guys in the next couple days, next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, y'all.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.